All right, today we are doing a live retopology class. So I've been thinking of doing this video for a while now, like editing it and all that, and that's stressing me out. So I'm just going to do it live, and that way you guys can give me feedback on what you guys don't know at all when you're doing retopology, and I'll be able to answer your questions. Okay, so just before more people join, if you're watching this, if you're replaying the live stream, just put a rocket emoji in the comments so that I'll know that you watched it after the live stream. Most people don't see part of this part of this video, so just put a rocket emoji in the chat, in the comments, and yeah, I'll see you guys. All right, let's get started with retopology. This is the face we are going to excuse me, this is the face I'm going to be retopologizing today. I did this was a sculpt I did with one of my students a while back. Hello David, how you doing? All right, so we are going to be doing a retopology of this head. Good morning, David. So the first place I like to start before retopology, before I do any other thing, is just marking out the main contours of the face. So these are the places where you're going to need proper edge flow on the character. So I'm going to use the annotation tool, and I'll just draw out those landmarks. If you have any questions while I'm doing the retopology, feel free to ask in the chat, and I'll be happy to help you out. Okay, so firstly, we're going to start out by marking the main edge flow around the face. I'll go up to 3D cursor. I'll change the placement from 3D cursor to surface. Okay, and the first place that we're going to start from is the edge flow around the eyelids. I'm just going to hide the eyebrows for now. Okay, we're going to start with the edge flow around the eyelids. So this one is very important. This edge flow will make the formation so much easier, so around the eye. So this one, then we need an edge flow that goes from the top or from the bridge of the nose to the side of the face all the way to the bottom of the mouth. Okay, we need another edge flow that goes from that just goes around the nose to the side of the nose all the way to the bottom of the nose. Then we need another edge flow that goes around the mouth. This one is also very important when the character starts deforming. So we need one like this, and I'm just marking out these annotation guides, so that they serve as guide when we start the retopology. It's not going to be, you don't have to like follow it one to one. They're just going to serve as guides when doing the retopology. So we have the one around the eye, one around the nose and the mouth, one around the mouth, and one around the nose. And then we have one that goes around the forehead, down to the side of the face, and then to the bottom of the chin of the jaw. Excuse me. And then we have finally one that goes around the ear. So I'm just going to take it all the way. Actually, just take it this way, all the way around the ear. All right, and once we have this in place and we are able to place this edge flow properly, like everything about retopology is finished at this point. So let's just get started. Once we are able to mark out this edge flow, you're going to see how easy it is to just fill in the empty spaces. If you guys have any questions about my workflow or whatever it is I'm doing, just let me know in the chat so that I can help you guys out. All right, Shift A, mesh. I'm going to add in a plane. The plane is what we are going to be using to retopologize this character. I'm going to edit mode, and we can just rotate this on the x-axis by 90 degrees. We can move this forward, scale it down, and I'll just move it to the left side of the character right here. Before we go for that, there are some viewport settings I like to enable. I'll go up here to mesh edit mode, and then there's this new option. I believe this was added this was added in Blender 4.3 or Blender 4.5. If you check retopology, is going to always keep the mesh in front, and you will just be able to see the mesh a little bit better. So if you're in Blender 4.3 and above, I believe you can turn on this option. And then I'll also turn on the snapping. I'll go to face projects, and then I'll turn on under effects, I'll turn on rotate and scale. Sorry, I hope you guys can hear me clearly, because it seems like, I hope if you can just hear me clearly, just say hi in the chat. Okay, so let me just make sure that I'm not muted. Okay, if you can hear me, just say hi in the chat. Once I see one hi. All right, nice. Okay, you guys can hear me. So I'm going to turn on snapping, and then we can get started with the topology. So first of all, we're going to start off with the topology that goes around the eye, and I like to use something I like to call just using 8 vertices for a start. So I'm going to start with just 8 vertices going around the eye. So I'm just going to scale this down. I'm going to bring it right here, and then I'm going to bring this to the far corner right here. Okay, and then one that goes down here, and then another one that goes right here. Okay, and you can select these two, press F to fill them in. Okay, that looks nice. And now we have only 4 loop cuts. Let me also turn on statistics so I can see the number of edges. And then if I'm just going to make this 8, I'm going to add in a loop cut right here, and I'll place it right here. Add in another one right here, and I'm going to place this right here. Add in one right here, and I'll place it right here. Add in one, and I'll place it right here. Now we have 8 vertices that makes up this loop, and that's what I'm going to do for all these annotation lines that are marked out. I'll just have 8 loops or 8 vertices going around them, and it's going to be much easier to connect them that way. So just keeping it low poly at first, and then we can add geometry as we go along. So I'm just going to adjust this to fit the shape of the eye just a little bit better. Okay, something like this looks good. And now I'm going to do the second one, which is going to be the one around that goes from the bridge of the nose to the side of the face to the bottom of the mouth. To make a new face, we can just duplicate one of them here, and I'm just going to rotate this. I'll scale it up, and we can just start placing this. So I'm also going to use another 8 vertices. I'll put 4 at the top and 4 at the bottom. So right here I have 2 faces in the middle, and just to know where the middle is, I'm going to add a mirror modifier, and then I'm going to turn on clipping. So I've added in the mirror modifier from my quick favorites, but you can just come up here and search for mirror. You can also add it to your quick favorite by right clicking and then add to quick favorites. Then I'm going to select the mirror object as the sculpt, and then if we pull this to the middle, as far as clipping is turned on, it shouldn't go past the middle. Okay, so now we have 2 faces at the top. We can add in 1 edge loop right here. We can also add in another edge loop right here. So now we have 4 faces right there, which is fine. I'm just going to space this out a lot more. Okay, nice. And we can take this one down. I'm going to extrude this once. I'm going to extrude this to the middle. Since we need 4 faces, we need to add a loop cut right here and another loop cut right here. Okay, so if I just select this, we have 8 faces, and that's exactly what I want. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger, just expand it out a little bit more. Okay, this looks nice. Let's once again do the same around the mouth. I'm going to duplicate one of these faces. Select this face, shift D to duplicate. I'll scale it down and rotate it, and I'm just going to start with the corner around here, in the corner of the mouth, and then I'm going to extrude these ones, and I'm also going to extrude this ones. Okay, now let's make this 4 at the top. I'm going to add in a loop cut right here and snap it over here, and I also add in a loop cut here and snap it right here. Okay, let's also do the same at the bottom. That's going to extrude like so. I'm going to extrude this once again, so these are 2 faces, 3 and then 4. So now we have 4 faces at the bottom and 4 faces at the top, and that makes up 8 faces. All right, let's do the same at the nose. So I'm just going to duplicate this face. I'll scale it down, and we can select this edge here, bring it to the side of the nose, somewhere around here. We can add in a loop cut right here and just place it around here. And then I'm just going to add in more loop cuts to make this 4 at the top, and I'm also going to extrude towards the bottom, and I'll just also make this 4 at the bottom of the nose. Okay, so we have 4 or 8 faces around the nose. Nice. Let's also go ahead and do the same at for the forehead, the side of the face and the bottom of the jaw. We can just duplicate these faces from here, Shift D to duplicate these faces. I'm going to rotate this, scale it up just like so. I also scale this up, and I also scale this, rotate it and scale it up. Okay, this looks nice. And now I'll do 4 faces at the top and 4 faces at the bottom. So this is 1 face for the top, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4. Nice. I'll also do the same at the bottom. So we have 1 right here, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, nice. So now this is looking good, and the final thing we're going to do is the one around the ear. Shift D, I'm going to duplicate this right here. I'm going to extrude 1 right here and also 1 right here, 1 towards the back, and I'll just join these to F. And then I'm going to add in a loop cut right here, another loop cut right here, a loop cut right here, and another loop cut right here. So now we have 8 loops. We can just extrude this out, E and S to extrude this out, and then I'll just turn snapping back on, and then I'm going to snap this on the face of the sculpt. Just something like this. Okay, hi everyone that just joined the chat. Okay, someone said I hope this is a full body topology and close sculpting also. Oh no, I'm not going to be doing the full body, that'll take too much time. I'm just going to explain the concept of retopologizing just the face for this video. Maybe in another live stream I'm going to do just the body, but for this stream it's going to be the face. Hello Mystic Paragon, how you doing? Okay, let's keep on moving forward. And now that we have this edge loops in place, we have everything that we need to do retopology. All we need to do now from this point on is just to fill in the gaps. Before I go ahead and do that, I'll just extrude 1 more loop around the eyelid, and this one I like it to meet the eyebrow, so I'm just going to extrude that loop and then I'll place it over here, and I'll just expand this one out a little bit more. Then we can move these ones down just a bit. Okay, something like this. I'll just keep this under the eyebrows. Okay, nice. Now that we have this, we are going to start merging stuff together, and then you're going to see how easy retopology is. Okay, I'm going to, let's start right here with the merging. So these ones already line up with each other, so we can just select them, M, and then merge at center. Then we can also do the same here, M and merge at center. So nice, we have that loop that merges together. You can also do the same right here. Just going to merge these loops together. So since they already line up, we can just M, merge at center, M, merge at center. You can also press Shift R to repeat your action. Do the same here, do the same here, and do the same here. Okay, and I'm going to stop right here. Okay, let's also do the same at the bottom here. So at the bottom here, we don't have enough edge loops, so we can just add in 2 loop cuts right there, so that we can have enough to merge with this. So M, merge at center, Shift R to repeat your action, Shift R, and then Shift R. All right, that seems nice. Let's merge these at the face, at the nose right here. So if we take a look at the nose right now, we have probably too many edge loops around the nose, so we have to add in more. And just before we start adding in extra edge loops, let's do it around the eyes first of all. Yes, snapping is turned on, David. Yeah, snapping is turned on. I'm going to also hide this eyebrow, and then I'm just going to add in extra edge loops. I'm just subdividing the edges around the eye. I'll do it right here, do it right here, and also right here. So we have gone around the mesh, around the eyelid, and then I'm just going to line this up properly. Okay, something like this. And now it will be much easier to merge these together. So we can merge this M, merge at center, Shift R to repeat the action, and Shift R to repeat your action here. Right here, we're going to need to add an extra edge loop. So we can just add in one right here. Then we can M, merge at center, M, and merge at center. All right, nice. It's starting to shape up really nicely. We can merge these two also together, M and merge at center. And then we can just extrude or make faces in the middle right here. So F to create a new face. And something I forgot to mention, if you create a new face, like if you just select a vertex here and F to create a new face, and it doesn't like create a new face, it's because I'm using this add-on. So it's called the other add-on. Just search for F2 add-on and make sure this is enabled inside of Blender. So F2 is the add-on. Okay, so I'm going to select a vertex and press F, and it's going to make a new face in the direction of my cursor. So F, I'm going to select this, and F to create a new face, F to create a new face, just like this. Okay, now that we have this, we can also just merge these two together. We can select this M, merge them together, and then we can extrude this one just coming out. We can create new faces here to fill up the patch. So we can F to fill in this one. Okay, then we can just fill up the spaces that we have here. I'm going to add in a loop cut right here, and we can just fill up this patch right here. So F to create a new face, F to create a new face. We can add one loop cut right here. F to create a new face, we can merge these two together, and F to create a new face right there. So now it's just going to be a matter of merging this together. So let's just bring this down, and then we can start merging them together. I'm going to Control R to add in a loop cut right here, and we can just add in extra loop cuts to line up with what we need. Control R, I'm going to add in 2 loop cuts right here, and then we can just merge at center for all of these. Okay, nice. And I'm just going to adjust this a little bit. Okay, we can add in more loop cuts here to just retain the geometry, the shape of the geometry. And you might notice here the mesh is kind of sinking into the object. So we can add in a shrink wrap modifier. We can come up here to add modifier and add a shrink wrap modifier. And I'm going to select the target object as the sculpt. Okay, nice. And if you want to see the changes, you can duplicate this modifier with Shift D, then apply it, and then once you go back into edit mode, you're going to see every change you made. And now the last part that we have to fill is around the mouth here. So you can just select these two are close to each other. So F to create the new face here, F to create a new face here, and we are going to need one more edge loop right here. So if you're adding one more edge loop right here, I like to keep it symmetrical. So I like to keep the top of the, so we had 4 faces here, we have 4 faces here. If I was to add another edge loop here, that makes it that we have 1 2 3 4 5. So I want to keep it even at the bottom too. We have only 4, so I'm just going to add in 1 at the bottom too, and then we can slide this over just to make some space. Then we can fill up this space right here. Okay, that looks really nice, and this is essentially the face topology done, more or less. We can fill in the nose, which is not going to be too difficult, but I will just add in more resolution or more topology before we do that. So we can add in more resolution right here just to maintain the geometry of the face, and I'm just sliding this across with GG. Okay, and we can add in more loop cuts right here, Control R, and then I'm going to add in more loop cuts. Do you use auto merge or don't want to deal with the nightmare it can cause when you forgot? Yeah, I don't turn auto merge on at all. Like most times I don't use auto merge at all, because yeah, definitely you can forget that it's turned on, and then you merge stuff together. So it can be a headache sometimes, so I don't like to use the auto merge feature a lot. I just stick with the manually merging them together. So yeah, I don't like to use, or I don't use it most of the times. Okay, we can add in more edges, like an edge here to retain the topology, one around the mouth. Then we can add in a couple right here just to maintain the shape of the face. Okay, this is starting to look nice. Now let's make like every face. We are going to try our possible best to make every face a quad, just to make them evenly distributed. So I'll just go in and try to space everything out evenly, something like this. And we might need more geometry like right here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to add in more loop cuts, just subdivide the eyelids once again, just like we did earlier on. So I'll just add in loop cuts everywhere around the eyelids. So Control R, and I'm just adding in new loop cuts just like that. All right, now with that, we are going to have lots more vertices that we can work with. I'm just going to also add in one right here for the middle of the face to be able to maintain the geometry of the middle of the face. Okay, nice. And then one thing that you can do with your retopology, when you're retopologizing and you just like need to smooth out the faces, you can actually go into sculpt mode, and then you can use the slide relax brush. So this brush right here, and by the way, you can search for any brush by pressing Shift spacebar and just type in a brush. So relax slide, and let me probably turn on my screencast keys so that you guys can see the keys I'm pressing. Okay, and with the relax slide brush, while holding down Shift, you can just smooth out the topology that you have. So I'm just going over everything and I'm smoothing it out. Okay, that looks nice. Okay, I think we didn't add a more loop cuts right here because it's meant to be more subdivided than this. So I'm just going to add in more loop cuts right here because I don't think I added in some. Then I'll go back to the sculpt mode, and also Shift Q is the shortcut I assigned to the wireframes to be able to toggle on wireframes off and on. So under the viewport overlays, you have this option to toggle on the wireframes. So you can right click, assign a shortcut. So the shortcut I have is Shift Q. So anytime I press Shift Q, it's going to be you're going to toggle on or off the wireframes. So that's nice, and I use that a lot. So I'm just toggle it on, and then I'm going to smooth out the geometry or the topology that we have. You can also add in more loop codes right here and smooth this out. I'll also smooth this part out, and right here we have the mesh just going over the mirror line. So you can just bring this back, just pull any of this probably back or to the center. Okay, and now we have this in place, and that's basically the topology done. Hello Raphael, hello son, how you guys doing? All right, let's also go ahead and just fill up the back of the head. So like, I hope you guys can see how easy it is to do topology. It's just been 26 minutes and we have been able to get the fish topology done. Let's finish up the mouth and then we'll finish up the nose. For the mouth, I'm going to E and then S and Z to scale it down on the Z axis. Okay, and then we can just snap this back into place. So I'm going to move this to the corner of the mouth, and I also move these ones. I'll just move it to the opening of the mouth right here, and I'll come all the way to the middle right here. Nice, that looks nice. And then to maintain the geometry around the lips, because right now you can see the mesh is sinking inside of the geometry, we can add in probably 2 loop cuts and then just mesh that. Then let's also deal with the corner here. So just move this out and then move this out. Okay, that's nice, that looks nice. Let's go back into sculpt mode for a bit, and then we can just relax and smooth out the geometry around the face. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to add in a loop that goes just very close to the lip, just so that we can maintain the sharpness around the lip. I'll bring it out towards the corners so that the corners of the mouth isn't as sharp, but right here we want to maintain that crease at the lip. And then we can just space some of this out together, space some of this out. Okay, okay, something like this is fine. And now let's finish up the nose, and then we'll finish up the back of the head, and then we'll also retopologize the ear. Okay, so the nose for this character is really simple. We can take this loop. I like to use this loop that's coming out of the eyelids. We can just take this all the way on the edge of the nose and just move that to the middle. And now we have to fill this in together. We can select these two faces, F to fill them in. I'll just select this face, F to fill it in, F to fill it in. And I'm saying that I might need to add some more faces here or some more edges here. So I'm just going to Ctrl R, adding 1 loop cut. And is that enough? I'm going to add in 1 right here. And 1 more to finish it up. All right, so right here, so we can add in loop cuts like this to add in. Also, we just maintain the geometry at the top here. I'll go into sculpt mode for a bit, and let me actually just turn on the wireframes so that I don't have to toggle on wireframes every time I go into sculpt mode. Okay, and that's for the top of the nose. Now for the bottom of the nose, the exact same thing. You can just create new faces like so. create new faces to get the middle, and then F to fill this in. And now we might need to add in more loop cuts at the middle right here. That's fine. I'm just going to add in one right here, and since we are adding in one at the top, let's also add in one at the bottom too, just to maintain the symmetry. And I'll add in one right here, and I'll also add in one right here. Nice. Now let's fill this in. F to fill this in, and yeah, we have a chord right here, so that's fine. So yeah, this topology works for the nodes. You can add one loop cut right here, and I'll just space this out, GG, to move them out. Okay, and I'm going to use the relax slide brush in the sculpt mode, and I'm going to relax this. So hold down shift and then just relax your topology. That's going to be really useful. All right, now we have the face retopology in place. Now we have to deal with the back of the head, and the back of the head is not difficult to do at all. Before we do that, let's just go ahead and do the ears. So we'll go back into edit mode, and now for the ears is also really simple to do. I'm going to merge these vertices. I'm going to bring them back so that they can just be merged with this one. So I'm just going to turn off snapping. I'll extrude this back, S and Z, and I'll just move this up. So something like this, and I'll also add in a loop cut right here. Alt S to scale that up, and the mesh is currently not snapping, so I'm just going to duplicate and apply the shrink wrap modifier. And this is something you're going to have to do often when you're retopologizing. So duplicate with the shrink wrap modifier with Shift D, and then apply it so that the changes can be made on your mesh in edit mode. Okay, so now we can merge some of these vertices together. We're just going to bring this one closer right here, so something like this. So we need an extra edge here, you add that in with the loop cut. You can also add this one in just like so, and Ctrl R. So I also add in, since I'm adding at the front, I want to add at the back too, just to keep the symmetry. And then I'll also add in right here. And now I'm just going to select these faces or these edges, and I'll extrude these ones all the way to the back. Nice. I'll add in a loop cut right here at the middle, and I'll snap that to the back of the head, and I'll add in one right there and another one right there. Okay, and now let's merge this vertex at the ear. M, merge at center, then Shift R to repeat your action. Okay, now this is looking nice. We can fill up the back of the head. Let's extrude one loop cut from here and just extrude this to the middle like so. And now we can do some counting. So I want these vertices to merge together, like I want to have a face right here. So, and to merge these parts, we need 1 2 3 3 4 5 6. We need 6 edges right here. Ctrl R, and I'm going to add in 6 new edges, and I'm just going to snap it to that face, and then I'm going to just make new faces like so. The same thing at the top here. We need 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 loops. Ctrl R and 7. I'm just adding 7 new loop cuts, and then we can fill this in together. So I don't know if the topology is as fun for you guys as it is for me, so I don't know. I enjoy topology. If you guys have any questions, just let me know and I'll try my best to answer it. Okay, now that we have this in place, let's go into the sculpt mode. And also, something I see a lot in the comment section of my YouTube videos is that maybe you're probably sculpting a nose and you try to merge the nose with the head, and then it just becomes a weird color once you go back into sculpt mode. So anytime that stuff like that happens, it's just because Blender is trying to create a new face set with the new mesh that you just merged it with. So to clear any face sets or any weird colors you have in sculpt mode, go up to face and then face sets from visible, and it's going to remove all the face sets if you're not using them or if you don't need them. And now I'm just going to use the relax slide brush and I'm just going to smooth this out. You can probably add one more loop cut right here just to maintain what we have at the top, and then I'm going to smooth this out all the way to the bottom right here. Okay, nice. Let's fill in the back of the head, and we can just do the exact same thing that we did. I'm just going to select these edges, extrude them right here, and we can create a new face right here. And now we need to fill in the back of the head. I'm just going to find any of these edges, any of these vertices at the top here, F to create a new face, just like this, and we're going to use this face to fill in the back. So I'm going to F, create a new face right here. Okay, nice. Now this, we have been able to redirect these edges all the way to the back. So now let's just start filling this in. We need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to add in just a couple more edge loops at the bottom so that we can merge this together. So I'm going to select this to F to create a new face there, and I'm just going to create new faces like so. Okay, that looks good. And now we need to merge it also horizontally too. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 edges, and now we can merge this together. We can select this M, merge at center, and Shift R to keep on merging this together. Shift R, then we can just keep on merging this together until we get to the very end. And if we have any open spaces, we can, if we have maybe too much of a gap, we can just Ctrl R and then add in a loop cut right there. Now I'll go back into sculpt mode. I'll use the relax slide brush and I'll just smooth this out. Okay, okay, this is nice. Nice, this looks really nice. And I'm just going to M and make sure to merge everything at center. Nope, merge everything by distance. So it's going to merge any vertices that are not in the middle. So it's going to merge any vertices that are on top of each other. Okay, so this is looking good. And also we have some weird shading at the bottom right here. So to fix any weird shading, you probably want to recalculate your normals. So I'll go into edit mode, I'll select all, mesh normals and recalculate outside, or you can just use the shortcut Shift N. Okay, I'm seeing some things in the chat. Retopology is my love. I started Blender back in 2016 December with a poor laptop, and box modeling or poly modeling was the only way I could do anything for some years before I dived into sculpting. So yeah, I definitely get why Retopology can be your love if you started with box modeling. I tried to do box modeling when I was starting out, did not work for me at all. So I just went straight for sculpting. Okay, another question, another comment. The thing that topology always shows is about human faces, and very rarely they teach about non-human faces such as animals or anthropomorphic faces. Okay, so the thing about the topology for humans is that it's going to work the exact same way for animals. I can't say for every character, but for animals, because if you, especially once you do this method, like you do it the way I'm showing you, so the only things you need are the edge loop. Make sure you have edge loop around the eye, edge loop around the nose, which will be the snout of the dog or the animal, or it can be a horse or whatever. Then you need edge flow that goes around the, so edge flow that goes from the bridge of the nose to the side of the face to the bottom of the chin. So most animals will have these features, and I wish I could like demonstrate this like in action, but I don't have a 3D model of a dog or like something else that I could use. But for these edge loops, these are the edge loops that you just need to know. Once you have the mouth edge loop in place, the nose edge loops in place, these ones that go at the top of the nose, the side of the face, and the bottom of the jaw, you have this one that goes around the eye, and you have this one that goes around the forehead. The rest of the topology is just filling in the gaps, so you don't have to be specific with it. If you know how to do it for humans, it will be easily transferable to animal faces. So yeah, just use this method and it will probably work out well for you. Okay, let's finish up the ears before we fill in the rest of the face. I'm going to add in some more loop cuts at the top here. Since I also added in at the top here, I like to keep it symmetrical, so I'm going to add at the bottom. Okay, and let's start extruding around the ear. I'm going to extrude this out, and I'll just extrude 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17, and I believe that was 18. Yeah, 18. You also do the same amount at the back because we want to be able to merge those together. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18. Oh, okay, so I messed up somewhere, so let's merge this together, and I'll just bring this closer. Okay, nice. And now let's start merging this top part together. We can select these two, they will go together, so F to fill them in, and then I'm just going to fill in these faces. Okay, till we get to right here. Okay, so now we have the same number of faces here as we have on here. I can just select these and actually relax them a little bit. So right click loop tools. If you don't have this loop tools option, enable the loop tools add-on. Okay, and you can right click loop tools and then relax any vertices that you have selected. I also do the same here and just relax this out. Okay, nice. Let's merge these pieces. So we have 1 2 3 edges coming here, so we need 3 edges here too. And one thing that most people are going to fall victim of when doing topology is like you try to add, you have snapping turned on, and you have, maybe you want to add a new edge loop. Say you add 3 new edge loops right here. So something I see most people are going to fall victim of, you add 3 edge loops and then you click. So once you have snapping turned on, the faces both at the top and at the bottom are going to snap to the surface of the sculpt. So just beware of this when you're retopologizing, when you're adding new loop cuts. So you just want to add loop cut, so Ctrl R, add in 3 new loop cuts and then press escape. You don't have to click on it, just escape. And then if you want them to snap, you can use the shrink wrap method. So duplicate the shrink wrap and apply it, and now it's going to be snapped to the face just the way you want them to be. So just make sure not to fall victim of that. It happens to my students like a lot of the times. Okay, now let's fill in these faces and also the ones at the bottom. Okay, let's fill in the back of the ear. The back of the ear for stylized character is easier to do because there are not much details. It depends on the stylized character, but for most stylized character there are no details at the back of the ear. So we can just E and S to extrude these ones, and then we can actually just use the grid fill option to fill in this grid, and we can change some of the settings here to see which one is going to look best for us. So I think this one looks really nice, so we can just have this in place. And I'm just going to jump into sculpt mode for a bit. I'll use the relax slide brush and I'll just smooth out the geometry around here. Can also do the same around here too. Okay, nice. I'm just going to add in 1 loop cut at the middle, right here, just to maintain the geometry of the sculpt. And now let's fill in the front of the ear, which is going to be a bit difficult, or can be much difficult to do, but since the ears don't deform as much, it's going to be easier to get away with like probably end guns or like pulls that are not really, you know, at the perfect spot. Okay, so let's just select this ES. I'm going to extrude this in once. Okay, and I'm just going to select these ones right here. ES, I'm going to extrude and scale it down just till we get somewhere around here, and then I can just line this up on this crease that I have. So the retopology for the ear is going to be like different for most characters. It's going to be different, so you just have to find a way to get it looking right for your character. So I'm going to bring this up. You can select this edge and extrude it along this part of the ear. And then let's fill this in. You can add in 1 loop cut right here and fill these faces in. Okay, and then we have this face left here. We can just grid fill this in. Let me also check that we have. Okay, so if you select this and you actually try to grid fill it in, you're going to have this error. It says select 2 edge loops or single close. What that means is just that you don't have an even number of edges or vertices selected. So we can just add in a loop cut right here. And so before it was 12, it was 11, now we have 12 vertices, and now it's going to grid fill it in appropriately. Okay, so this is looking nice. You can also just do the same here, E and S to scale this in, and then we can grid fill this. And yeah, I love how this looks. And just going to add in a loop cut to support some of the edges right here. All right, nice, very nice. Now I'm going to Ctrl R. Hello Jordan, how you doing? Screen is dark. Why is the screen dark? I don't understand. Why is the screen dark? Okay, I'm going to smooth out the geometry right here. All right, and we have everything that we need for the retopology of the face. right? And we just did that in 50 minutes of being here, which is really nice. So Retopology shouldn't take a lot of time. Okay, something else you should probably focus on is the eyelid. So you want to have an adequate amount of edges or vertices around the eyelids so that the eyelids can deform properly. So I'm just going to move this in, all right, and then let's add in a loop cut right here and another loop cut right here, and I'm just going to add in one in the middle. Okay, so this is going to be adequate enough if we're deforming this mesh. All right, and now let's just finish up the bottom of the head. We can extrude this down. E to extrude down, we can scale it down. Okay, and let's fill this in. And I just like to carry the vertices from these ones. I'll just extrude it into here. So I'm going to select this edge and extrude it to the middle here. And now let's count how many edges do we actually need to fill this in. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we need 9 edges. So I'm just going to Ctrl R and I'm going to add in 9 loop cuts right here, and we can fill this in. Okay, and then we need 2 edges to fill up here. So I'm going to add in 2 and I'm going to fill this in. All right, nice. Let's use the relax light brush in the sculpt mode and smooth stuff out, and let's also smooth this out. Okay, I'm just going to smooth some of this out, and actually at the ear here I might just insert this a little bit and smooth it out. Okay, nice. This looks nice. And let's see, we can now extrude this geometry for the neck. Before we do that, I'll just probably take this to the back and let's fill this in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we can fill this in. Now we have fewer vertices that are going to go below or are going to go down the neck. And before I do that, I'll probably just do this one more time. I'll extrude this towards the neck right here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ctrl R, 5, and then I'm going to nice. Okay, and now we can select this and extrude it down for the neck. I'm going to S, Z, and 0 to scale it on the Z axis by 90. Sorry, to scale it on the Z axis to make it flat. That's what I'm trying to say. Then I'm going to scale this up, bring this down right here. Then we can add in more loop cuts. Ctrl R, I'll just add in 5 more loop cuts, and that looks nice. Let's make sure that it's actually snapping in edit mode. Shift D to duplicate the shrink wrap, and then Ctrl A to apply it. Okay, this is looking nice. Okay, I see a comment. Do you use multi-layers or big normals from high poly, especially for character mentor animation? Okay, so for me personally, when I'm doing animations, I don't want to big the normals on the characters. I don't like to big the normals on the characters because most times for animation the character is going to be seen up close, and the animations is like fake lighting, so that's not going to be appropriate. So for animation, just want to use the high res. There's a way to big the multi-res details like into the mesh itself without using the materials, and probably I should show that. Okay, so I'm going to show that just once I'm done with the Retopology. I'll show you how I use the multi-res to big the information onto my actual mesh. And I made a video about this a while ago, but I'm just going to demonstrate it here. So this is more or less the topology of the head done. We can smooth out some of this right here. You just want to make sure you have quads evenly separated. I'm going to apply the mirror modifier for now. I'll turn on X symmetry and I'll just smooth out the geometry, smooth out everything. Okay, now this looks really nice. We can get rid of the annotation lines. We're not going to use them anymore. And I'll also turn off wireframes from here. Alright, so this is looking nice. If you see any parts that are stretching, you can go into the into sculpt mode, use the relax light brush and just pull them in, and then also just pull this in. Okay, are you a full-time 3D character artist, work for a studio or freelance, or you have another job? Yeah, I'm full-time, I freelance as a 3D character artist. So yeah, full-time freelancer, that's what I do. Sometimes I work for studios, but also sometimes for individuals too. Just curious on how to manage as an aspiring 3D artist. So yeah, it's definitely possible to make a living being a freelancer. It's difficult when you're starting out, but once you understand it, yeah, you can definitely maintain it. So yeah, that's what I do full-time. I freelance, and then I'm trying to move a little bit away from freelance. I'm trying to like create content and courses and all that type of stuff, but I'm still like in that transition phase. So but for now, freelance is what I'm doing more. So yeah, so I'm trying to move from freelance to courses and also teaching and educating other artists, so stuff like that. Okay, now the retopology is more or less done. Is where I'm going to end for today, and this is actually really nice because we have spent 58 minutes here. I like to spend like 1 hour on these live streams, because I think 1 hour, if you're watching this after the live stream is over, you can probably sit through a video of 1 hour. So I just like to keep them at 1 hour for those that are watching the video after the live stream is done. Okay, and I'm going to show the multi-res trick that someone asked me to show. I'm just going to smooth out everything here before I do that. Okay, nice. This looks really nice. So definitely there's still a lot more you need to do if you are making this character for animation. So you have to like extrude the eye cavity and the mouth bag and just clean up some other things, but for now it's going to be fine. Okay, someone's asking, where are you from? I'm from Nigeria, West Africa. Yeah, Nigeria is where I'm from. Okay, so let's do the multi-res. So with the shrink wrap enabled, I'm just going to duplicate and apply this. Now let's add in a multi-res resolution. Move this above the shrink wrap. Okay, and then we can subdivide this a couple of times. All right, and I think 2 times is okay. Probably you want to like just duplicate your mesh and move it to a new collection so that you don't, in case you make any mistake, just like so I can come back. I'm just going to name this something and I'll turn this off. Okay, so on this mesh we have applied our sculpted details. If I shade this smooth, I'm going to apply the shrink wrap modifier, and now with the multi-res we can go into sculpt mode, and now we have the ability to actually sculpt more on this mesh. So this will be like a good point, a good place to make those really cool like hard edges that you see on like characters. Like now that you have clean topology, you can actually just come in and like make really clean edges at the top of the lip. You can use the crease polish brush, turn on stroke, stabilize stroke, and then you can just make your creases look much nicer. So this will be the stage to do that, and then once you're like done doing that, then to apply the multi-res modifier, So I'm just going to show you what I mean. To apply the multi-res modifier, assuming you're done sculpting everything, you can turn this off, so you can see like the loss of volume. So you can see how our original mesh like loses volume. So to get back all those details that we just sculpted in, just come down here to shape and very simply apply this, and it's going to give you all those details, so that if you add a subdivision surface modifier, we have like something that looks very close to our sculpted mesh or sculpted geometry. So that's how, and now you can just get rid of the multi-res, and that's how you just retain, as far as you have enough topology to support the shape of the character, is going to look nice. So instead of beaking, this is what I like to do, and I learned this one from Julian Casper, the guy in the Blender Studio. Really cool guy. Like, if you have the chance to subscribe to the Blender Studio, subscribe to the Blender Studio, because there are a lot of like good stuff right there. All right, some questions just before I go. You're a great teacher. I'm sorry we successful in that field of 3D. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you very much for being here to take in my knowledge. So yeah, this is going to be the end of the live stream today. I hope you guys had as much fun as I did with apologizing. Hope you guys learned one or two new things that you can do when you're apologizing next time. So I'm going to see you guys in okay, before I go, actually, I'm doing something next weekend. Let me just open it up. Next weekend I'm hosting a face sculpting workshop. It's going to be a 3D workshop. I don't know how many of you guys are on my email list that get my emails. So a face sculpting workshop, if you want to learn how to sculpt faces, maybe sculpting faces is a bit difficult for you and you just need like professional guidance, I'm going to help you guys out. It's going to be a 3-day workshop. The first day I'm going to break down the forms of the face, which is like one of the most important things like you need to know before diving into sculpting. And then we are going to do the blockouts of the face. On day 2 we are going to sculpt in the details, the eyes, the nose, the mouth. We're going to add in hair. Day 3 is going to be a live critique session. So after you guys complete your sculpt, you just send them over to me, and on day 3 we'll go through everyone's sculpt. We're going to critique it, see how to make it look much nicer. And yeah, you can definitely go grab your spots for the workshop. It's going to be next weekend, so on the 28th and the 29th and 30th of November. Looking forward to seeing you guys there, and I'm also excited to do the workshop. Go and grab your spots like right now. The spots are filling up quick, so grab your spots for the workshop. And before we go, if you guys are still watching this live stream till this point, then you guys are like real ones. If just like message me on Instagram. So my Instagram handle is Kenny'sArts_. Just message me on Instagram and tell me that you were watching the live stream. Okay, the price for the workshop is $100. So for 3 days, yeah, $100. So I would love to see you guys in the workshop, and yeah, I'll catch you guys in the live stream. I live stream every Wednesday by the same time. I'm talking too much. Let me go. Bye bye.